My name is Michael. For many years I worked in the corporate sector as a management consultant, management trainer, and a training manager in the financial services sector. My mum and dad, like a lot of people, when your parents get older, they start to need more time. You need to spend more time with them, looking after them, and of course, various illnesses arrive. My mum developed Lewy body dementia, and my dad developed Parkinson's. And in my early 50s, I was spending a lot of time traveling, even as far as Jakarta in the east, Indonesia, places like Azerbaijan as well. And I was having to come back to Ireland maybe once a month, once every 2 months, just to keep an eye on them. And I was coming backwards and forwards and flying, and my carbon footprint was going sky high, and I was starting to become very conscious of not only the impact that I was having on the world, the impact it was having on me in terms of my stress levels, and my disillusionment with the corporate sector. To give you an example, I would train some senior managers run a management development program for a large blue chip company, and change their way of thinking about their authenticity as managers. When they finished the program, then they would go back into their roles, and like a jigsaw puzzle piece, they go right back and fit into the culture again, and all the behavior changes would go out the window. And I realized that I wasn't making an impact, and I was spending a lot of time in nature myself, walking. I did a lot of hiking at the time, and then my mum and dad got progressively worse, and it got to a point where on one trip to Ireland, I said, look, I just can't do this anymore. So I sat down with my mum and dad. We looked at our finances, their pension, my savings, their savings, my house in England, their house in Ireland. And we decided, look, I've had enough of the corporate sector. I'm going to look after you. Is that what you want? Or do you want to go into a home? And they said, no, we don't want to go into a home. And I didn't want them to either. So I did that. At 55, I retired, and I looked after them for 6-7 years. That was quite tough. It was full time. My mum got progressively worse. She never forgot me, but she did my dad. So that we'd be living in the same house, they'd be sitting in the room, and she'd suddenly say, who's this strange man sitting there? And she got quite angry. Get out. So it was quite funny sometimes. But then, of course, they passed, and I had to decide, well, what am I going to do? Am I going to go back into the corporate sector again? That's what I know. But I didn't immediately want to go back, so I did a master's degree in work and organisational psychology, thinking that at the end of it, I'd have a master's degree which will add to my qualifications. I can go back and carry on doing what I was doing. Within a few months of starting the course, I realised, no way am I going to do that. And during the course, a friend of mine who I'd worked with talked to me about the ANFT and forest therapy. And it just absolutely resonated with me, and that's the aha moment that I had. If I can combine the two, my coaching and mentoring qualifications and my experience, with my love of nature and my ability to help people connect with nature and help people with looking at the design of nature in how it affects your well-being, then that's what I wanted to do. So when I finished my master's, I then enrolled on the ANFT course, and I completed that, and here I am doing my immersion. I'm also doing the Wellbeing in Nature program with Manuela and Gita as well. So, and I absolutely love it, and that's what I want to do. I'm retired now. I'll be 65 in July. I get my old age pension, and I can decide what I want to do. I already have a sort of a company pension, so the world is my oyster, and I'd like to feel that I can make a difference to people in terms of people's well-being. I'd like to bring this concept into the corporate sector more if I can, and develop a management process that is far more authentic, and focused on not just gross domestic product and profit, but on well-being, on people's contribution and people's quality of life linked to their work, as opposed to being a stress inducer, which is what a lot of managers are at the moment. That's my story. My favourite invitation is one that's called camera. It's with pairs, and one person shuts their eyes, and the other person holds them in a safe position and very, very slowly brings them to a place, and they position them as a camera, okay, with their eyes shut, like this. And then when they tap them on the shoulder, they open their eyes and they see a picture, a nature picture. It could be trees, whatever, for the first time. And when I did that for the first time, emotionally, it was one of the strongest emotional experiences I've ever experienced. It was like looking at a beautiful, beautiful, stunning painting each time. And then you'd shut your eyes again and you'd be moved again to somewhere else. And the lady who did it with me was so experienced that in the end she didn't talk. We just did it, okay? And she tapped me on the shoulder. I opened my eyes, and within about the third or fourth one, I was crying. It was so beautiful and so powerful for me. So that is my favourite, absolutely. My life before forest therapy was, it was the corporate sector, then caring, then academia when I was doing my master's degree, and I also did a couple of research assistant positions, and I thought that maybe that was the role I was going down. But when I found ANFT and forest therapy, I realised that that was the way forward for me. And now, for instance, my project at the end of ANFT was to turn my garden into an ARC garden. I don't know whether you've heard of ARC garden. ARC stands for an act of reciprocal kindness. It involves taking a third of your garden and rewilding it completely. And I did that with a view to at some point in the future, because I had quite a big house, my parents' house and my extension, and I've got about 2 acres in the beautiful countryside in Ireland, in Wicklow. And I'd like to turn it into a forest therapy centre. And I do my remote forest therapy sessions from the rewilding part of my garden. I do that online, and that works really well. The emotional response when you get it right can be quite overwhelming for people. And I've had 1 or 2 people who have been crying. Okay, it connects with a lot of memories that they have. the forest is the therapist, the guide opens the door. And that's what can happen. You can start the process, you can open the door for them, and they experience something that is quite unique. It's basically, I need to do more walks to sort of develop the stories myself. So that's my plan after the immersion, is to start doing far more walks. I'd like to become a trainer, to be honest, a forest therapy trainer, but I need to do 50 walks. So that's the plan over the next few years. I've become very disillusioned with the human condition at the moment, with all the things that are going on. And forest therapy and nature connection and well-being in nature, I feel it's become essential for the world, to be honest, that we make some fundamental changes, or else we're just not going to be here. It's that simple. It really is. That's all I have to say.